All right. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning if you're in a different part of the world. Welcome to everyone who's joining us from India, from Singapore, or from around the world. And our guest speaker today is Sanjay Ramanathan. We are going to have a chat with Sanjay on his experience being an entrepreneur, a solopreneur in the creative industry. And we will also take any of your questions as well. You can use the Q&A channel to ask any questions. But if you also put your hand up, I'll let you speak as well. And I'll also prompt questions along the way. Sanjay, welcome.
Thank you, Ashish. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me on 0 to 1.
All right, Sanjay, maybe we start with what you do at the moment, just to give everyone a picture as to what you do. I would also like to go back to your past, but maybe we first start with what you do now and what your business is.
Yeah. So I'm the co-founder of Mulligatawny. Mulligatawny is a creative consultancy, creative communications plus marketing consultancy, and we just help brands, tell stories on different platforms. That's what we do, and we are a small core team, and we work with a lot of freelancers and freelance designers, copywriters, and production houses, and we put together stories for brands. So that's what we do.
You. I think that probably gives everyone a glimpse of what you do at the moment. Maybe Sanjay, we go back to your past. How did you get into this storytelling, creative side of the industry?
I think, where do I start? Like, it goes a really long time back.
Right.
I think I think right after school, I think just like how most advertising people are, there's no connection between what I've studied and what I'm doing right now. So like most advertising people in India, they start out as engineers. So I also did my engineering. That's my undergraduation. Like, so 4 years of engineering. And after that, again, I didn't get into advertising even after that. So I joined IT. I was a software engineer right after I got out of college. And I did it for a couple of years. And I think right now, I think AI has taken over what I used to do. Like completely now AI does what I used to do that time, like long time back. So I was in IT, then I wasn't really enjoying what I was doing. I wanted to do something different. And that time there was there was no video, there was no YouTube. Not, I think YouTube it just started at that time, like in India, and just mushrooming. And then there was, mostly you could just read blogs, watch TV. So suddenly I started developing interest in advertising. Just watching a few shows on TV, watching, reading a few articles, and then from my interest in advertising from 0 to 100, like it happened in about 15 days or just a month. Then I went ahead. Then I saw an interview. I read an interview on a blog, and it spoke about like a day in the life of a copywriter. How is the life of a person in advertising. To spoke about beers. It spoke about shooting with celebrities and all these fame and all that. Then I got like, really convinced and pushed myself and said like this is it, and I'm going to join advertising. And the person, interestingly, the person who wrote this article also became my boss later in my life. You know, so that's so then I quit my IT job and I joined this course in a college called MICA in India. It's in Ahmedabad. It's called Mudra Institute of Communication. So I joined this course, and it was a copywriting course. I finished that. Then I came packing bags and came to Bombay. And Bombay is when I started my career with an agency. And I worked there for a couple of years, and then I shifted cities. I shifted to Bangalore. I joined Ogilvy in Bangalore. I was there for a couple of years, and then again I moved back to Bombay, which is where the hub of advertising is. I moved back to Bombay, and I joined Lowlintas, and I was in Lowlintas for quite a long time. I was there for like 7 8 years together. Together, then then after that, what I did is I took a break after like I was in the end of my term in Lowlintas. I took a break. I took a break for like 3 months. Then I was just figuring my life out, trying to do what I wanted to do. I wanted to slow down actually because it was getting very busy, and how working on campaigns back to back, new business development and pitches and handling like so many brands. So it was getting very very busy and hectic. So I wanted to slow down, and slowing down on a corporate setup, how difficult it is. Either you run a separate team and you have your own terms and conditions, and otherwise, you just have to start your own thing to be like more independent and take things at your own pace. So I quit Lolitas. Then I was freelancing for a bit. Then a major life event happened that I had a baby at that time, and and unfortunately I had taken a break for this itself. Like I had a baby, I took a break, and then I was freelancing for a bit. Then an opportunity came my way, and I joined MX Players content studio called MX Studios. I was like leading like content, long form content and short form branded content for them. Then I did this for a couple of years. I was, the freelancing bit was in the middle, and then joined them full time. Then again, a major life event happened. I shifted to Singapore. I moved along with my wife, and we shifted to Singapore along with our kid. And and here again, then the full freelancing journey started. And I was freelancing for a bit, a lot on India clients, a lot of on Singapore clients. And I did this for a while, and then it got a little, little boring. Like it's almost like being single for a long time. Then I decided, I need to get a partner, like a partner, because I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do, being like just a freelancer. So then I partnered with who's my current partner now at Mulligatawny. Then we got together, and then we started Mulligatawny together, and then we formed a small core team of 2-3 people. Like slowly we added like one by one. First there were 2 people, and then we added like one more. Like we need somebody in business development, we need somebody in servicing. So we added one by one. We started adding people onto it, and now it's grown into a nice, small, compact, lean team. So we work both out of Singapore and India, and working on clients like across these countries.
Thanks, Sanjay. I think that shows the path that you've traveled. I would also like to ask, what was it like moving from corporates to being a freelancer? Was it like a hard decision, or what made you kind of do that change? I guess some of the people that join us have that question in their mind as well, because they are sometimes in a corporate job, but they're interested in going solo or becoming a freelancer. Maybe it might help them if you talk about some of the things that worked in your mind and how you worked your way through to being a freelancer.
Yeah. You know how advertising works, right? Like the work life is very, very hectic. Like you leave home in the morning, and you don't know what time you're going to come back in the night. Like it's so hectic, and there's, pressures and responsibilities and so many brands. So there's no chance for you to slow down. If you can't just pick and choose projects and say, I'm going to just work on this and nothing else. And because there are business responsibilities and revenues and targets and campaigns that have to be rolled out. So basically, I wanted to slow down a little bit, which I didn't have the opportunity to do in Low. And the other option was to like quit the company and then join another company. But it's the same in anywhere you go at a senior level. It's the same, right? You have a lot of responsibilities, and there are certain, there's certain commitment that you need to give, and it's impossible for you to pick and choose, and you don't have the freedom to do what you want. So, so that's the reason I turned like freelancer, so that I could pick and choose projects, slow down a little bit, pick and choose projects that I really wanted to work on, and say no to projects which I didn't really have to put in my energies into. So that's the reason I
Right. Right.
turned to freelancing.
And what's with this brand, Sanjay, the Mulligatawny? Is that a Tamil word?
Yeah, it is. It's a Tamil word. Yeah, you got
Right.
it right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mulligatawny is actually it's the name of a soup. Like we really didn't have any name. We suddenly we came across this name, and it was very catchy. It's very never like not very common to find a name like Mulligatawny. Even the soup that's called Mulligatawny is not like a very popular soup here in like India and most parts of the world. But it has a very Indian connection to it. Like Mulligatawny means like melagu and tani, which is like 2 words in Tamil, which means
Right.
like pepper water. Yeah. So it really sounded nice, and it had like Indian roots, and it had like Tamil roots, and me and my co-partner, both of us are Tamil. So we had
Right.
this Tamil connection going on. At the same time, it has a very global appeal. So we thought it's a really nice sounding name with Tamil roots, and so it
And
just sounded really
and
nice, and we went ahead with it.
maybe we talk about branding a bit. Your brand itself, it's a bit unusual and a bit long as well. And how did you kind of go around creating that brand and kind of making it known and people kind of feel the brand? Maybe we talk about the branding aspects of building that brand itself. because that might
Yeah.
help our audience.
Actually, if you look at it, like Mulligatawny is not the great story on how to build the brand, because we like broke like completely all the rules. Like generally, if you're going about building a brand, you think of what you want to stand for, and then you come up with a name, and then you come up with a logo, and then you come up with the website, everything. Here we worked like backwards. We had a name first. It's like almost like, I don't want to compare, but it's not. It's almost like Apple, where you just had a random name, and then you think backwards, and then how do you integrate? What do we stand for? What do you do? So we had Mulligatawny as a name, which sounded very interesting. Then we thought, okay, let's stand for like bold and spicy. Like spice was one hook that we had. We thought we'll stand for like bold and spicy ideas that we'll connect with, that we'll work on only these kind of ideas. So that's how we formed our base. Our strategy is to to do bold ideas from Mulligatawny. So that's how we started it, and then from there everything evolved. Kind of the whole our website, our branding, and the kind of brands that we picked, the kind of ideas that we gave for these brands, the kind of ideas that we executed. So everything stemmed from the name and the philosophy that we created after we came up with the name.
And Sanjay, if we talk about building the business, I guess sales play a key role, right? You need to attract clients. So as a freelancer, maybe we talk about how you found your clients. Is that from the network that you had, that you came with some clients from your corporate job, or did you start reaching out to people? How did that happen?
Yeah. I think it's mostly from the network. Like once you start freelancing, you just tell people around you that you're freelancing, and suddenly you form this network of freelancers, right? Like people who've not been in your life, suddenly all these list of gang of freelancers come into your life, saying you become part of this community, and then they slowly start referring you to creatives. And because if they are busy or if they have some connections, it's always, and with freelancers, it's mostly like a collaborative effort, where people get together and freelancers get together, you work on a project, and then you start. And once you work on a project on a client, and the client, you build this relationship with the client, and slowly you become like a repeat project person with them. You work on projects, you work on next projects, and they also refer you to different the other clients as well. So basically, it's your network and the client's network, and it's like consistent work that you do for the
Right.
clients.
Right. I guess one of the conversations among freelancers is whether you stay a freelancer or whether you become an agency, right? Because you left the corporate job because you wanted that flexibility, that freedom, and you become independent by being a freelancer in that sense, right? Not to say that you're fully free, but you have some level of flexibility and freedom being a freelancer. But as you grow work, then you also have this debate internally whether I need to have a couple of people around me so they can support my work and actually transition into an agency. Then you become a startup. And then if that startup grows, you also become like a SME and on the path to become another corporate. Um, is that something that worked in your mind as well? Because you got away from a corporate and created a freelance career. And then as work kind of piles up, are you becoming an agency again?
I think when I quit from my corporate job and started freelancing, this whole thing of starting up wasn't in my mind at all, because it just grew like progressively as time passed. Like I was just a freelancer for some time, and then slowly, then the kind of projects that I was doing is very small. As your role in the project is very, very small as a freelancer, because somebody is managing the project and you're just assigned a certain role and you fulfill that role, and that's enough for you. You don't have to do anything more than what the role asks for. So then I couldn't take up like bigger projects or bigger brands and like fully integrated campaigns that I really want to do. Even like pitching, right? You can't pitch as a freelancer because you'll just pitch your own particular skill. So I found this, like this again, like I told you, like once you start freelancing, you find another. I found another friend who was freelancing for a long time, and he'd been freelancing since for the last 7-8 years. So I found him, and then both of us, and we complemented each other, our skills. So and so we joined together, and then we started pitching as a team, like like a copy art partner. We started pitching to brands, and that's when brands also started taking. Then we registered as company, and then brands started taking us seriously. Like okay, there's a team. They can execute brands. They have their all everything. It's not like one freelancer getting other freelancers to work on a brand, because we are part of one company, and then we used to pitch together and we used to get. That's how you build trust with the client. So, and we also And as a freelancer, you also need this and especially in the creative field, you need somebody like a sounding board, right? Like a constant sounding board. It's almost like like a husband-wife relationship that you have. Like you need like this person every day. You need to go and you need to discuss ideas. You need to brainstorm, and you need to how do you get clients, everything. You need the other person to discuss with. So the other person happened to be my partner, and we both got together and then created this agency.
Okay, so now you would consider yourself an agency. You have yourself and the partner, and then a couple of few other um, employees in that sense who are part of that core team.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, the setup is very, very lean. We have 4 people as part of the core team. So and all of us are like multitasking. We're like creative directors, and we're like strategists. We are like business people. We're like account management, and everything, social media and product and everything rolled into like all 4 of us are mix of all these things. And then depending on what the project is, we hire people. We have a list of a database of freelancers and friends, as we call them, friend freelancers who we work with, and we tap into that network, and depending on what the project requirement is, we'd pull them into the project.
All right, I think that gives a good idea about being freelancer and then how to become an agency and then a model that you follow as an agency, Sanjay. Maybe we get to some of the discussions about the work itself. Right? I guess your core is around branding and developing creatives around that branding, that brand and storytelling part of it, right? So maybe we talk about the brand itself for a company or a product or a service. What makes a brand stand out?
I think even if you like the way you define a brand itself is very, very ambiguous, right? Because it's a mix of a lot of things. It's not like if you ask if is it the color of the brand, it's not just the color. If is it the logo of the brand, it's not just the logo. Is it what the brand tone of voice, or what the brand messaging? It's not that. And is it how the brand makes you feel? It's not just that. So it's a mix of everything, right? So brand is like a mix of the color, the voice, the tone, the letters, the experience, the customer experience, and what the consumers feel about it. Everything together, makes a brand. And an easy way to explain this, or even to understand this, is to see like a personal brand. Right? If you take even a person, even the person can be a brand. And how do you describe that brand is not just how the person looks. That's just one part of it. Like if you see a turtleneck sweater, then and jeans, it's like Steve Jobs. So there's looks of it, there's the tone of voice of it, what the content that person speaks, and how the person makes you feel in the room, even without talking. Everything together, makes what a brand is. So that's what a brand is. And what makes a brand stand out is there are different like different key messagings that you have at each stage that makes a brand stand out. Like how the brand is defined, what the pillars on which the brand stands on. First of all, the brand needs what the reason for existence of the brand needs to be defined. That makes a brand really stand out. If you have a clear reason for existence, for example, if you take a brand like Patagonia, it has very, very strongly built on sustainability as a pillar. So everything the brand stands for, the brand, the way it looks, the way it speaks, the way consumers engage with it, everything is based on that pillar of sustainability and why the brand exists. And if you take for example, if you take like a McDonald's and a Burger King, both of them are at loggerheads with each other. So the reason they exist is because they have each other. Like McDonald's exists because of Burger King, and Burger King exists because of McDonald's. It's almost like a symbiotic relationship that they have. So yeah, so why the brand exists is one, and the other one is like the tone of voice of the brand that makes a brand really stand out. For example, like if we take like India, there's Amul is a brand. They're very popular, and they're very known for all these tongue-in-cheek humor that they put it on billboards. So every time anything happens, and they have these billboards across the city, and every time you see there's a current happening that's happened, and you expect Amul to do something, to write something very punny. They very good with puns, something very funny and something very punny about the current topic. So the tone of voice, and if you take like some brand like a Zomato, which is like a food delivery brand, and they have a certain meme-ish kind of way in which they talk. It's very, very current and trending. So that's there. And then So the tone of voice really matters. And then the other thing is consistency. If you keep sending out the same message like time after time, and you're putting it up, you're showing up, and every frequently and in like regular intervals of time, then that really builds like a strong brand. And the other like one which very few brands are able to crack is the consumer engagement that you have. Like when people like almost like adopt your brand, and then they start like speaking for the brand. For example, how like what if you look at what Zepto is doing in India? Zepto is like in a delivery app like Zomato and Swiggy. What Zepto is doing right now is amazing. It's almost become like a people's brand now. The way they do like small innovations on their site. Like if you have like keywords, you just put like say an exam pack, and then you have a list of items that you need to prepare for an exam. You'll probably have tea, you'll have some biscuits, you'll have some snacks, some midnight Maggie and stuff like that. You just have to put this, and it has a ready-made list of like a grocery list that you need to order. They do these small uh, things that is very customer friendly, and so it gets talked about on social media. And then the other thing that they did is this whole one guy on like a content creator on social media mispronounced the croissant, and he pronounced it Prashant. And then they use this typo to their advantage. And then if you go and type Prashant on Zepto, you get a croissant. If you get a croissant, it'll say, did you mean Prashant? Just like different just having fun on the site, and it gets picked up by the audience, and then the audience starts suggesting, you should try this, you should say this, this should replace this. So they start giving ideas to themselves. Right now, the Cetaphil and Sitaphil is another thing, wordplay that's going on. So they just pick up these memes and then turn it into, then people start giving them ideas saying, you should do this, and that gets blasted across their network, and it's almost like become a people's brand where people are giving them headlines, people are giving them ideas for their app, and lists and anything. So people are having fun with the brand, and it's just become like a people's brand now.
Sure. Thank you. Sanjay, you were talking about some of the brands like McDonald's and even Amul, like they are large corporates. In the context of freelancers and startups, they also need to build a brand, right? In the context of freelancers, that's building a brand for the individual. And then for a startup, that's building the brand for that small entity. Shall we also talk about those two groups as well? Like, how would you go about building a brand for a freelancer? I see a lot of brand building for freelancers on LinkedIn these days, but I'm sure people also do that on Instagram and TikTok and other places as well. And then in the area of startups, yes, those channels are used, and people also think about the brand experience. So maybe with your experience, we talk about these two groups as well.
I think the pillars still remain the same, like even for freelancers and for like small companies or startups. Again, the reason for existence, what do you really believe in, what do you stand for, is what So, for example, if it's a freelancer, you do suppose you do quirky kind of humor, then that's your specialty, right? So you put like humor as your base, and say, or you want to do something like the socially relevant thing. So you have your reason for existence. Even if you want to do anything socially relevant, or something that's more purposeful, then you tap into my network. So the reason for existence, again, is the same thing that we spoke about for any brand. So that also becomes like common for freelancers. And again, consistency is again keep posting your work online, keep posting about or relevant topics that you post about, and the topics that you like, the topics that you repost. Everything should be about what you do, about what you believe in, about even in the note that you add along with when reposting, does it have humor, does it have warmth, does it have like depth, what does it have, so that brings out your personality and builds your personal brand. So that's
And
with freelancers, and even startups.
yes,
Yeah, startups.
similar,
Yeah, startup is exactly similar. Again, same thing.
right? I'll go to Q&A channel. There are a couple of questions there, Sanjay. The first question is, have you ever deliberately gone off brand just to see what would happen?
Uh, Delivery off brand deliberately, actually, no.
Right, gone off brand.
Not off brand, because it's a waste of everybody's time, right? Like a brand is built, it's built with certain, it takes a lot of time and effort to build a certain brand. And generally, if you go off brand, is generally off brief. And either you can be like experimental and risky about it, but it's a huge risk on the brand manager side, because they're going to put the money and run the campaign. So for them to, do something which is very, very off brand, off strategy or off brand is very, very, like, I would say, like, little foolish of them to do stuff like that. But any, like, a good brand manager wouldn't do stuff like that. So most of the brand managers I've had are very good. So they've not let. So there are certain rules of the brand within which you can play, but you can't be completely off brand and make people wonder as to what brand this is. How does this brand behave like this? So it just throws people off. So all the effort that you've done, and if you do it consistently, taking these risks over a long time, then you're just destroying the brand that you've built.
Right.
Then people won't even remember the message. People don't know what brand it is, and it does nothing to the brand. Basically, yeah, it just harms the brand.
Sure. We have another question. I'll come to that a bit later when we talk about AI, Sanjay, but I'd like to talk about the business angles a bit more before we go there. Now, you have a core team of creative people, as you said, and I guess they are creative and they come up with ideas and all that. And at the same time, you guys run a business, right? So, how do you kind of manage a business? Going towards your goals, KPIs, revenue goals, and all that, but without killing the vibe of those creative people as well. Because I guess it's two different domains in that sense. On one side, you want to achieve your business goals, but on the other hand, you also want to be creative. You try different things, mistakes are made, and then you try different things, and it might take longer than it was expected, for instance. So, how do you manage the creativity in the context of business goals?
Yeah. I think there are two parts to it. One is the business goal, the other is like managing the creativity part. And there are certain clients who are like well paying, but the creativity angle may not be like potentially like huge for the creatives to be happy about. And the other one is there are clients who don't like spend more, but but the creativity quotient is really high. The fun that you can have with the brand and the fun that the creatives can have with the brand is like really huge. So there's a little bit of like a balance we need to maintain with both at the same time, because you are in charge of revenue also. At the same time, you want to keep your creatives happy, because if you don't keep your creatives happy, then there's a chance that they might jump onto another brand, another company, or freelancers. They may not agreeing on to another project will be difficult for them. So to keep them happy, you have to keep the creativity high, or give them like small projects or projects that uh, keeps their creativity ticking. At the same time, you have to be in charge of business goals. So that also is like part of it. So you have to balance both and give them like both kind of projects which they can handle. One is like high revenue easy project, which is not so much on creative. At the same time, you have to balance and feed their creativity with the other projects that is there. Or you run these small experiments where you have like fun activities, fun entries for these awards, or these fun activities that you have where they can just unleash their creativity and then come up with like wacky ideas, wild ideas, and winning on certain platforms, or proactive stuff. All this gets awarded.
And Sanjay, I guess when you take a team like yours, you would need different skills. Like some people would be extremely creative, they come up with creative ideas, whereas some people might be a little more technical. They can run campaigns on platforms, for instance, or they can manage email campaigns, right? So how do you kind of differentiate different roles in a small agency team? Like, do you have a few creative guys and then a couple of people to manage the platforms and then maybe a couple of copywriters? Maybe we talk about the team composition a bit so that it gives a feeler for another founder to think about how they would build a team in the future.
Hmm. I think what we have is, I think what we also encourage in the system is like everybody knows a bit of everything. It's not like we work in silos. Like this is my role, and it's almost like true with every startup that you can't just do your own specific role. You always do like more than what your role asks you to do. So you should know everything about every other role. So, and as and when it's required, you become like a creative director for like we become the revenue heads for certain campaigns. Certain campaigns, we become the creative directors at different phases also. Like then become the creative directors, and then you become the social media. You run the campaigns, and then you become the relationship manager where you just talk to the client. So we just take like different kinds of roles on priority. Like sometimes it's like 80% is just client relationship management and 20% of creativity, and sometimes it's like 80% of creativity and 20% of other roles, and sometimes it will be finance. And so basically between all the five, everybody like knows almost like all the roles understands the roles and also plays a little bit of role. Like, we have like account management people, writing copy and, coming up with ideas, preparing text and everything. So there's help, every person helps out in every manner possible. It is just that, everybody has this responsibility towards, this campaign and towards the client that they sort of fulfill. You just make them feel part of the team and be more responsible. That so they just do all the roles.
Yeah,
That,
understood.
yeah.
And Sanjay, how do you find this talent? I guess finding creative talent is a bit harder than technical skills, right? Because technical skills can be assessed and evaluated, and you could hire and engage a little more, I guess, easily, at least relatively. Whereas creative talent is a bit more subjective than that, right? So how do you guys go about finding either your employees or freelancers for those creative roles?
Yeah. I think it's important to work with as many people as possible. That's one thing that we don't. It's There's comfort in working with the same set of people again and again. At the same time, we never like refuse opportunities to work with. If it's a small project, you work with a different team, different set of people. Then you spot a talent, and then you never forget the talent, right? You know that they're in the radar and in your radar, and you just tap into them. I really want to work with this person, but I'm not getting the right project to con. So you just keep in touch with that person, and then you make sure that whenever you get the right opportunity, you just tap into that network. So it's just through network only. So it's very difficult to find people, through online portals and all that. Mostly through references, and you ask in your own network, and then you work with them in some small capacity, and then you know, and they put you on to other people if they are busy. So just like tapping into the network, and then understanding who's good at doing what, and then finding those opportunities to work with them. So that's how we do it.
Thank you. So we'll go to another question from Q&A channel, Sanjay. How do I create an elevator pitch that sounds human? These days, people don't care about it. They care about the job title, company, what I do and have achieved, and what I want to do. No personality, no history, no story, etc., I believe.
Sorry, how do you create an elevator pitch?
That sounds human. That's not necessarily about the job title, the company, and what someone has achieved, maybe before being a founder, but more about how do you bring the story out.
Elevator pitch to a brand? Is that what you're asking? Like,
I don't have more context, but whoever asked can give us more context if they have. But I guess
yeah, I think
this
it's
is more about an elevator pitch. I guess more from a founder perspective when they go and pitch.
again. I think it's the
Maybe for
reason.
an investment or maybe for a product, right? You also do elevator pitches for products in the context of partnerships. Yeah, they have added more context here. Elevator from a founder. So I'm assuming that's more uh, in front of investors. And how would you make it a human like presentation that is not very technical, not heavy with numbers, and not too techy in that sense, but brings out the story much more in an authentic way.
Yeah, I think if you talk about the reason that you exist, right? Like reason for which, like what or the kind of work that you believe in, or the kind of work that you want to do for them. I think that's like more human. It doesn't talk about numbers. It didn't talk about actual work, but you just give them. We do like we really do like bold, like culture shaping kind of work. We do what is trending. We do what is or we do social kind of work. Or we do social angle, or we work with startups. What you're offering should be very clear in terms of the kind of work that you do, or in terms of the client that you cater to. If you say, if you have a product, we will do everything to create a brand out of it and then run a successful campaign. We'll give you like probably like a growth map for the next 6 months. We'll do like a playbook. That's like a elevator pitch that you can do for a startup, saying that if you just have a product and no brand presence as such, we'll help you create the brand, tell the story for the brand, and keep the brand going for at least 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, like. So that could be like a pitch that we have. And if you want to check the thing out, you can go to the website and check out kind of stuff we have done, work like this for these kind of brands. You can go check it out, and if you really like it, then we could work together. So basically, what you
This.
believe is basically what you believe in, and what kind of services that you offer. What can you do for
Mhm.
them? if we just speak about these two things, then I think your pitch.
Sure. And also what you bring in as a founder, right? Like, yes, what have you done, and your values as well. So that brings the human element in rather than being very technical and numbers based. Of course, investors like the numbers as well, but it also needs to come across as something that comes from someone who's trustworthy and someone who you can work with in the long term. In
Yeah.
that sense, their past, their values, and the way they carry themselves, all that matter as well.
Yes. Yeah.
And part of that can be in the presentation, like not just in the deck side of it, but how you deliver that message as well.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Maybe we can get to the next question, but I guess that's the whole area about AI. Sanjay, I wanted to discuss that in detail because your industry is one of the sectors that has been transformed with AI in the last 2 years quite visibly, but I guess in the last 3, 4 years as well. We see AI being used for creative content a lot more, not only on graphics but also on voice and videos and all that. And we work with lots of founders in different areas, and I see a lot of them doing AI related stuff, but mixed with AI. AI generated images, AI generated videos, etc. So how do you see this, like as a founder, as a startup in this domain of creative business? How is AI impacting your business?
I think it's a great thing. It's a great thing to have. Like AI is, as long as you use it as a tool and not almost like a replacing like in the human mind, it's fine. Like even when like if you look at the old examples of how when the calculator came out, it thought it's going to be put people out of job, but it just made like lives easier for people to just calculate. At the same time, when in advertising or in the publishing industry, when Photoshop came out, it thought it's going to put people out of jobs, but it just made people learn the software, and then it became made lives easier, and what usually could take like days together is now like done in like minutes. The same thing, like AI is very good at expressing what your thoughts are, what your creativity is. So as long as you use it as a tool to express your ideas and to present your ideas, it's still it's good. And it's not like you're replacing what you can think with. You're not going to ask it for ideas and then take those ideas as it is, copy paste, and then put it out. Yeah.
And Sanjay, from a competition point of view, right? The work that came to you guys, to the agencies, are they now being partly done by in-house because you don't necessarily need an outsourced resource or an agency to do that because in-house staff could now manage with AI? Do you see that as a competition as well?
It's not a competition. That's where we even our model also differs. Like what we do is like sometimes, like most of the times, the client already has an internal team, but they have a very small team, like to manufacture, to think of big ideas and big campaigns to plan, like 6 months ahead, 1 year ahead. You need like people with like big agency experience and all that. So people like most of the internal teams are very, very small teams, unless there are certain companies which invest like heavily. For example, if you take a company like a Zepto or a Swiggy, they've invested heavily in internal teams, building internal teams, which is like huge, massive teams, which does like they've hired from big agencies, and they are completely busy with they know what to do. Like every month they come out with 4 5 campaigns that are out, and they're very busy, and they don't depend so much on external work. But there are some people who just want to do like their day-to-day social media work, which they want to do, put out like posts and stuff like that. They want to do like with the internal teams. But when it comes to like big campaigns, suppose there's an IPL campaign that's going to come out, or it's like a big campaign that they're planning like months in advance, then they reach out to big agencies. So this whole internal thing is also it's becoming a common thing for for day-to-day operations. Putting out just posts and keeping that engagement going. But at the
Right.
same, if you want like the big idea or the massive engagement
Mm.
that you want, like the most like popular campaigns, then you for the campaign point of view, then you reach out to that's when you need the vendor.
Sure. Sanjay, it might also help if we tell our audience about some of these AI tools that you use, like which tool for which area. We spoke to someone a week or two ago who was into some other domain, but they explained about the tools that they use, and our audience found it quite valuable. Maybe in your domain, if you can tell us a bit about the tools that are useful in different things, that might help us as well.
Yeah, I think for day-to-day operations, even for like almost like replaced Google is like ChatGPT now. So anything you go, you instead of typing it on Google, you just ask ChatGPT and it'll explain it to you, even to write lines, or if you're like stuck anywhere, you just want to just open up, or thought starters, just use ChatGPT. And then Midjourney is also like another thing that we use commonly for images, and for video we use like VO3 and Runway for just doing videos. So basically, these are the four software that we use in the in our agency.
Thank you. I'll go back to the questions, Sanjay. There's an AI related question. Do you think that AI tools are giving everyone the same creative shortcuts? How do you avoid blending in?
I think it's almost like become like a prompt. Like if everybody is giving the same prompt, it will probably like give the same. It's like how you refine the prompt and how you detail in which you describe the prompt is what your output you will get, and the kind of prompts that you keep giving repeatedly, and that like refines your prompt and the kind of output that you get. So at some level, it is like standardized because you're tapping into the same database. If two people give the same kind of prompt, probably they'll get the same response. It's like how detailed you are and how good you are with referencing, saying, it should look like this, it should feel like this, it should, give a reference, attach a reference, then exactly you will know, how different it is.
Right. In ChatGPT, like as a use of ChatGPT, all of us are now learning to do prompts better, right? It's also prompt engineering in that sense. Does that apply the same way to other tools that you mentioned that are used in more creative work as well?
Yeah. Exactly the same thing. The way you define the prompt, and then you use ChatGPT also to write the prompt. You write the prompt and then you put it on ChatGPT, and ChatGPT revises the prompt, and then you add like refine the prompt on ChatGPT, and then you put it on other platforms, and then it comes out, and then you look at the output, and then you alter the prompt accordingly. And the other thing that helps is to maintain these prompts, to log these prompts somewhere, and then have a database saying, this is the prompt that you gave, and this is the kind of output that you got, and this is the things that you liked in the output. If you have this like logged somewhere, then it's like an easy reference for you to see, okay, I gave this and I got this like a month back, so I know what exactly to give for this. This is the special word that I used, this special thing that I used, and I got this. So you might forget it after a month, so if you log it somewhere, then
Right.
you know you can tap into it.
Right. Just another question on competition. I know you explained about an agency and the internal staff of clients, right? In the case of freelancers, Sanjay, do you think they are facing competition from AI? Like their projects, have they kind of dried out or lesser projects now because of the presence of AI? One reason I asked this, Sanjay, is that you have freelancers at different levels, right? There are freelancers who used to do basic graphic designing, for instance, and that set probably is now taken over by AI. But maybe the mid-level still can kind of face this competition. So I just wanted to ask about freelancers and AI competition in that sense. Do you see any shifts in workloads for them?
I think they're also evolving, right? They're also like learning, like they're also like investing in education. They're also getting to know these AI tools, experimenting with AI tools, and even they know that they can't take the time has been really crunched. Like what used to take like 5 days before test be done in like a day or a couple of days. So they're also learning all these tools, and they're all up to date with the tools.
Right.
AI tools are there, so they're not lagging behind. It's not like
Right.
working in an old-fashioned way, and then industry requires something. They're not like catching up. It's completely
Right.
that everybody is like changing now.
Yeah. With all these technologies, we need to
Yeah.
evolve, right?
So they're
Like
also
if we
investing and
if
learning in
exactly,
these
yeah,
technologies.
if we are stuck 10 years ago, then the world is somewhere else, right? So these freelancers also need to equip new skills so they can move with the trends and they can
Yeah,
compete at a different level.
at a different level. Yeah, yeah.
The next question, Sanjay, is what models do you use apart from Midjourney, as there are many forms of training? For example, Hugging Face has many models.
I'm not like sure about this.
Okay, we can maybe move to the next question, but if the person who asked the question can give us more context, maybe we'll come back to that. The other question in this Q&A thread is, have you ever taken on a project that didn't quite feel right at the time? What made you say yes, and what did you take away from that experience?
Mm, like we didn't feel good. Actually, we have not taken any project like that where we didn't feel good about it because the main reason for us to, to freelance or not even freelance, I think to start our own agency is to pick the kind of work that we really want to do, right? It's not, so we've really like till now, like touchwood, we have not had any project that we didn't want to really work on. And then we went ahead and worked on it. Nothing like that. We've always enjoyed every work till now. It's not happened like that.
And would you be selective in that sense? Like, of course, up to now, it has been projects that you wanted to do. But if there was a project that you didn't want, maybe because you didn't align with the objectives of the company, you couldn't align well with the brand presence, would you say no to something?
Yeah, we will. Yeah. If you don't agree to if there's anything that is off, then there are other ways to say no instead of directly saying no. You can, probably quote high or, and then throw them off. So that's like one way. But if it's really not agreeing to what, our principles are and all, then we can really say no, saying that, we're not going to have, we're not going to, we won't have like fun working on this project. So I think it's not exciting enough. So
Sure.
we can work on it. Yeah.
Thank you. We've got more clarification on that question, Sanjay. The original question was, what models do you use apart from Midjourney, as there are many forms of training? For example, Hugging Face has many models. And further details here, it's technical. Diffusion models like Doll A or Midjourney is trained on datasets. This and prompts determine the outputs. Hugging Face is a platform that allows experimentation with hundreds of models trained on different data. If you're familiar, we can answer. If not, we can dismiss for the time being.
Yeah, I don't have like much information about this. So
Okay,
yeah.
sure, no problem. So we'll move to one other question that came through the chat thread. This is also around AI. Maybe we've already answered to some extent, but I'll still ask to make sure we've answered the person who asked this question. As AI automates advertising tasks, how can agencies stand out and be successful?
I think the differentiating factor will still be like the big ideas, right? Like AI will automate like tasks that are very, repetitive and things that need we just give an input and gives an output, and there's no like judgment on the output or the creativity of the output. Those kind of tasks AI will automate, like basic work. But the differentiating factor is still those big ideas and how exciting and original those ideas are, which I think AI will not be able to do. AI still is doing connection from A to B is what it's doing. But if you look at big ideas or how innovative ideas are, how how bizarre the idea is or unique the idea is, it's generally there are two levels of connection or three levels of connection, like A to B to C to, or A to B to C to D. Like, A happened, that's why B happened, that's why C happens. You have these three layer connection that you have, which still I think AI can't think of these ideas. Like there are some examples which I can give, which AI could never, think of these things. Like for example, if you take like if we take the old like the campaign that happened in Brazil called Immortal Fans, I think it's the name of that. In Brazil, it's called Immortal Fans, and they had to increase the number of organ donations from volunteers. They had to wanted to have more volunteers sign up for organ donations. So what they did is they took the base as it's a football crazy country, and there are club loyalties. So what they did is if you donate your eyes, probably then your eyes will see like more matches. Even after you are gone, your eyes are going to see more matches, of your favorite club, or your heart was going to beat for for your favorite club even after you are gone. So this really increased had like a connection with the audience of this football crazy country, and then they had a lot of signups for organ donation. This kind of ideas where AI is not able to think of all these ideas. Like if you look at it, they don't have any cultural context, or of a country like Brazil being a football crazy country in context to the brief task at hand, which is to just increase organ donation. So there's no connection. The AI can't make this connection between organ donations and football at all, and football fandom. So these kind of things only humans can think of, and yet so I think that's where we have the edge of making these bizarre connections and making ideas like innovative and unique. So I think
Very
that
much. That's a nice example, Sanjay. I mean, AI can come up with things, but humans have a lot more context than AI. So you
I
can
think the kind of
connect.
the lived experience that we have, it doesn't have like
Mm,
AI doesn't have, right? For example,
yeah.
even if you take like a country like India, the north and south divide is so much that if you do a piece of communication for the north, the south. The south is completely different. It's not like one communication that fits all. And if somebody from the north does a communication for the south, you can feel the difference. The subtlety won't be there. You can still feel the refinement, or you can know that it's somebody from another region has done creative for another region. Even if it's like somebody from south doing for the north, or from the north doing a creative for the south, you can still feel that subtle difference in the creativity. You don't think it's original. Imagine if you're feeding this with humans, what will AI do? AI will just do like a mass like a templated like I was just checking out some AI, asking AI to write scripts about a certain, say, South Indian brand. She just gave me a little cliches of what it understood, of what it's templated, and it's all not even like another. It's not even like original. So it's a very templated version that you get from AI.
Thanks, Sanjay. We are coming to the end of the chat as well. We have a few minutes to go, Sanjay. I wanted to talk about team burnout. This is common
Mhm.
in any domain, but I'm sure it happens in creative industries as well. How do you manage your team's workload, their burnout? Obviously, they might have to work long hours, but then again, you also need to the creativity up, and they need to be thinking of new ideas almost all the time. So how do you keep this going in a creative environment?
I think the first thing about creative burnout is acknowledging, there's a burnout is happening. Because if you push, if you're like already like burning out or burnt out, and then you keep pushing yourself, it's not going to do like good to your like mental health. Because this industry is faced with approvals and rejections. Your ideas get like 90% of your ideas are like shot down and gets rejected, and you have to keep thinking. And it's there's a client approval, and so you already face a lot of rejection. And at the same time, there are people around you who are doing well. People are campaigns are getting approved. The same thing, you're not getting approved. Your campaigns are not, ideas are not going through, and you feel a creative burnout that you're not coming up with. You're not motivated enough to do think of new ideas. It's already you're going through a lot. So again, if you go down that spiral, then it's going to affect you mentally. You're going to have like low self-esteem, low confidence. Then tomorrow, you're just fearing tomorrow that if I get a brief, I'm not sure that even if it's an exciting brief, that you won't feel excited enough to come up with ideas. So already this is happening. So first thing, acknowledging that this your the like burnout is happening, and then you're seeking help, and asking, talking to your teammates, talking to your management, and then taking that break off, completely, to disconnect from work, and then do something that is completely unrelated to what you're doing. It's not like you're doing creativity, you learned about brand management, and that's not like a complete cut off. You just do something completely unrelated to what you're doing. Take like a long break off, and then come back. And the immediate thing that you can do is just it's for you to think that it's okay to let go of a certain brief. It's not that if you're completely burned out, just take this upon yourself to 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 that I have to crack this campaign, I have to deliver on this. It's okay to sometimes just let go and take it easy. That many people don't do, because if you keep pushing yourself, it's you're just being really hard on yourself,
And
especially when
and and as a founder and as someone who runs the business, Sanjay, from your perspective, what would you kind of do to help people?
is again like let them take the break. and tell them that it's going to be like no impact and it's okay to take a break. I know how you're feeling, and this is and then you take the load on yourself, or or give it on, have somebody else step in, and and make it like a group task, and then you finish the job. But you let that person feel that it's okay, first of all, to feel the way the person is feeling. At the same time, and also take a break. It's okay. It feel them that make them feel that it's normal. It's not like only they are creatively burnt out. Everybody is buzzing with ideas. So just make them feel that it's okay, and then let them take the break, and then come back.
Good. Thank you very much, Sanjay. I think that that's a good point to wrap this up as well. We spoke about your journey, your company, and the actual branding work, creative work, projects, AI, and then about people as well. So I think we've covered many aspects of a creative business. Is there anything else you wanted to mention before we finish, Sanjay?
Nothing. Thank you, Yashas. Thank you, Doerscircle, for giving me this opportunity. Great fun sharing my thoughts and journey with everybody here and with you guys. Yeah, good fun.
All right. Thank you very much, Sanjay, again for your time. Thanks everyone for joining as well. You can connect with Sanjay on LinkedIn, or if you drop us a message, we will make connection as well. And we will be back again next Wednesday for another 0 to 1 event, and then again on Thursday as well. So we run these sessions twice a week, one on Wednesday and one on Thursday. And if you're on our mailing list, you will get invitations for the next week's sessions as well. Thank you, everyone. See you again soon. Bye.
Thank you.